Clover.
Hey gang, Warren here. Welcome on back to the Cade in another episode of Suckerpunch Sunday. So for this week, we're going to go back to 2003. We're going to play a game that, to this point, I never really knew was around much. I think I may have seen it on a couple of store shelves back in the day, but I only came across it, and I must give credit where it is due, after the fine folks over at What Culture Gaming published a list, one of their usual top 10 lists, of the top 10 games you can't play anymore. This was one of them. We are going to play Viewtiful Joe 1 for the PS2. Now this game, as you may have seen in the introduction, was created by Capcom. As I said, it was released in 2003. It was originally supposed to come out on the GameCube. It was then released on both the GameCube and the PS2. It was created to be part of the Capcom 5 under director Hideki Kamiya and producer Atsushi Inaba. And it was developed under Clover Studio. And the story of this game is as interesting as the plot of it. So if you like superhero games and you like what are called Japanese Senshin games, or even Senshin TV, so think Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and stuff like that. That's what this game pretty much is. So we're just going to try it at the default setting, so I guess we can do Sweet, Kids, or Adult. We'll just do it as it's designed. Now, I will tell you that in doing my practicing for this game to make sure it worked on my emulator, one of the things that they mentioned is that on that World Culture list is that if you want to play this game, apparently now you can only do it on an emulator. Actual copies of it are apparently nigh on impossible to find. So I am using the PCSX2 2.0 emulator. It's a free emulator, and it plays a fair amount of PlayStation 2 games on it. Now, the general premise of this game is that it concerns this kid, Joe, who is a moviegoer. And what we're going to see in this cutscene is how it's going to unfold. So, Joe is at a movie with his girlfriend, Sylvia.
Joe, is this your idea of a date movie? I had a more romantic time eating popcorn in the lobby. Joe, honey, oh, why don't you show me some off-screen action?
Whoa, Sylvia! Cut it out! I said cut it out! They don't show these old movies all the time, you know. I've been looking forward to this forever.
Well, I've been looking forward to this for a long time, too. We haven't been out on a date in forever.
Hey, stop that! This is the best part.
Okay, things get a little hot and heavy out the gate. Now this cutscene will go on for a bit, and unfortunately I can't fast forward through it, but the crux of what is going to happen here is that Sylvia is going to get captured by this big dark baddie and pulled into the world of the movie, and then Joe, our intrepid hero, is going to get pulled in afterwards to try and save her. The game is divided up into 7 stages or episodes, interspersed with storyline cutscenes, bookended by an opening ending cinematic. Of course, this is the opening cinematic. And the setting is divided between Earth, was basically the real world in this game, and what is on the other side of the screen in Movie Land.
I know I've seen him somewhere.
And along with Senshin TV shows, this also follows what is known as tokusatsu, which is a Japanese term for live-action films or TV programs making heavy use of practical special effects. So think of Gojira. Anything that has a big monster or a big mech stomping away on an intricately built model city to be a practical effect. And so the 6 machine, which is, and I did say 6, 6 Majin, gets launched into the movie theater, and then it grabs Joe and brings him back into Movie Land. So this game was developed and announced in late 2002, like I said, as part of the Capcom 5, which is going to be a lineup of 5 upcoming GameCube games to introduce the new content on the console. Originally, this was going to be titled Red Hot Man, but the name was changed due to copyright conflicts with the American rock and roll band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Wasn't aware of that.
I'm Captain Blue.
And producer Atsushi Inaba had previously worked on the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney series, as well as another game that I'm not aware of called Steel Battalion. Hideki Kamiya,
It really is Captain Blue.
who directed this, was one of the original planners on Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, and did part of the direction work on the original Devil May Cry series. And when he created this game, Inaba said, quote, "We want to create a challenging game with stunning visuals and fluid gameplay. As a lifelong fan of superheroes, Inaba's aim was to combine traditional Japanese tokusatsu with American comic books."
Cool. A real V-Watch.
So their general idea was to
wanted to try one on.
come up with a new variation of popular Japanese shows from the 60s and 70s, which were Kamen Rider and Ultraman. And what you're going to see once this game gets going is that the cell animation, which is pretty cool, and now we're going to get a little tutorial here. So we can press down to duck attacks, or we can push up, and then that will stymie these enemies long enough that we can then put them down. So you have kick attacks with your triangle button and your square button on a PS2 controller is your punch attacks. And really, as I've found in doing my practice run, if you just stay aggressive on these guys, they hardly ever hit you. So again, it is up, and that stymies them, or you go down to duck. So there is a little bit of pattern recognition involved here as we get into the thrust of the game. So your X button is to jump.
Yummy.
And you can find different things that will replenish your life. So mainly Joe is a hamburger fiend, and that is what will allow him to build his life gauge up. Now I'm going to pause this really quick just so you can see what we're looking at up top. So obviously his life bar is all of those hearts, and then the VFX is what we can use to allow him to unlock different powers
Yummy.
as we go. Now this pink box here, I want to bust open. Then come up here, grab that. And you can kind of do a prolonged jump by holding the button, but obviously you don't want to fall into all that spiky stuff that's down there. Now, one thing I'll say right away is that I like the animation style. I dig the cell shading and the comic book aesthetic they're trying to create here. Now, as I have said many a time, my primary interest in Japanese media has been predominantly through anime. So in that case, I needed to have that last one attack so it would provide an opening. I'm going to have to do that again here because now I'm going to have to fight Captain Blue himself. Now, as far as I know, I don't think I can lose this fight. He doesn't really hit hard enough to be able to damage me.
Just go for it!
But what I have to do here is I've got to learn to effectively counter, and then as soon as he exerts his power and that field goes down around him, Like so. Down he goes. And now we get this special bracelet, which all good tongsatsu heroes wear.
To your hero instincts deep down inside. When the watch starts to glow, say the word.
Now, the reception for this game was actually pretty good. On the aggregators, Game Rankings gave it 92% for the GameCube and 88% on the PS2. Metacritic, they were more even. It was 93 on the GameCube, 90 on the PS2. EGM gave both versions an 8.7 out of 10. Eurogamer gave it 9 out of 10. So now what we can do here is if we hold the L1 button down, now we can unlock our super attacks. Now we don't have to do it all the time, and but against these twirling guys, definitely worth doing. I like that this is a fairly fast-paced game. Being a side-scrolling beat-em-up is what you really want. And in this mode, if you do a double tap, you can, with the X button, you can do a double jump. See if I can get this bat up here. I can't hit it. Alright. But I got all those. That's cool. And now we have a slot machine coming down, and we've got a baddie. And just like that, he'll be done. So now this bit was a little tough because there is a door right here. But if you look down, you see where that little arrow is. I need a key to open that door, and the only way to get it is to get it from the slot machine. So what I gotta do is I gotta slow down here, and I gotta time it so I get a V here, V here, and a V here. It sends me the key. I open the door, and we're done. You are awesome! And just like that, we move on to the next section. So, I mean, there's no real rest for the weary in this game. But as I was saying, Viewtiful Joe, when it came out, was really well received by all the critics. IGN gave it an outstanding rating, citing the graphics and the high-intensity action of it. So to take these guys out, and you want to watch the hatchet as it's coming down, you only take one shot. Put this one down. Ooh. Again, you don't want to get hit by the hatchets. And if you hold the L1 button for too long, you can eventually use up all of your superpowers. Alright, so we come back to where we started. We can't go that way. It'll automatically bring us around here. We thump this door open, and now we come in here. Door shuts. Hello, cowboy. There, finally got him and put them all down. But this early on in the game, I'm finding pretty much using the L1 button to slow everything up. Just makes things that much simpler. Now there's a little bit of puzzle action here, so in this case I got to get this stack of books on top of that switch. I wonder if there's a way up there to get it.
Yummy!
There is.
Finish!
So now we come in here.
Just go for it!
And now we gotta move, because these guys like to drop bombs on us. Okay, so we had to hit that winch to bring that chandelier down. Now we want to get out of there. Come back over to this chandelier. Get the burgers back. Open this door, and I think we're gonna have more.
Just go for it!
Yeah, we have more knights in here, but we also have more of these guys. But the other nice thing is that we can use them to take out the axe knights and clear the road. Ow. The action does get a little repetitive after a while, but I mean, this early on in the game, I'm not expecting too much out of it. There we go.
Yummy!
Now, one of these guys has the key to get us out of here. So we hit that key and through we go. So in my practice run, this is as far as I got because this boss battle is pretty damn hard. There's Because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to fight a helicopter that's going to come through the roof. And as you see, it's a good old Apache helicopter, and it's got a gun, and it's got those blades. I think we've almost got it. Ooh, that's not good. We lost our Joe power. There we go. See if we can put this helicopter down. What I need him to do is I need him to launch that missile again. Did we get it? Oh, we took it out! Ooh! I wasn't expecting that. That thing did me a world of hurt. So I think we're at 22 minutes. I think this is as good a place to call it good as any. But let's see what we have for the next stage. We can power up. We got 7,600 points. So we've got use bombs from out thin air, send them with a flying kick, hold down the kick. Ah! The boomerang. Smooth move that lets you use the V emblem like a boomerang. We are sliding. Slide along the ground and kick, slick move. We do the air Joe, flying punch kick combo attack. And then we've got these two that are currently out of our pricing range. Alright. So let's see what's next really quick. And we'll save this again now that we've bought the power-ups, just to be safe. Because if Super Robot Wars has taught me anything, it is definitely make sure that you have ample save files.
Move on!
Now, obviously, they did do a sequel to this game called Viewtiful Joe 2.
Just go for it!
And this game was nominated for numerous awards when it came out in 2002. It was included in the list of best game of or GameCube game of the year. And also the best action game of 2003. Alright, where are all these barrels coming from? It seems like I need at least one to come back over here. And jump on this switch. Or I need to hit something that turns the waterworks on to push that down. Question is, what is it and where? In the meantime, I'm almost dead.
Cut! Ready? Action! Take 5.
Alright, well, we're at 26 minutes anyway, so like I said, this is a good place to call it. But that, everybody, is Viewtiful Joe from 2002/2003 for the PlayStation 2. Again, it's also available on the GameCube. And we go to our usual 2 questions. Is this a good game? Well, as I was just saying, it certainly was one of the best received and most highly lauded games by the critics when it came out. Like I said, GameSpot in 2003, it was nominated for Best Artistic Achievement in a Game, Coolest New Character, Best GameCube Game, Reader's Choice, Best GameCube Action Game, GameCube Game of the Year. It was also named the 4th Best GameCube Game of 2003 by GameSpy, won the website's Most Stylish Award for the year. Nintendo Power awarded it the Most Innovative Game Design at the 2003 Player's Choice Awards. USA Today and GMR both rated it as GameCube Game of the Year. And overall, it's been included on a number of best games lists since its release. It's rated as the 27th best game made on a Nintendo system in Nintendo Power's Top 200s list in February 2006. It was the 10th best game on the GameCube in 2008, reflecting on the top 20 games for each system. As far as the PS2 version goes, like I said, it was on par as the GameCube version. But as far as I can tell, it didn't reach any similar lists of the best PS2 games of all time. Now, my only suspicion for that is that because the ratio of games available on the PS2 relative to what was on the GameCube, it's a lot harder to be able to figure out what is the ultimate list of the best PS2 games of all time. Some of the criticisms against the PlayStation 2 is that apparently it suffered slowdown in later stages of the game, and there was an apparent lack of progressive scan in the PS2 port, which was available on the GameCube. One of the only other negatives, the GameSpy said that the bosses were too easy due to a powerful attack that the player could perform, which we saw against the helicopter, because whatever I did to it, I did not do that in my test run. So, but is it a good game? It's certainly an original game. The last time I played a game like this in this series, you have to go all the way back to the early stages of it, where we played a game called Comic Zone, which was a Genesis MegaDrive game, which wasn't bad, but it took the whole idea of a kid being pulled into a comic book world, and it was more of a 90s spin, and it was more along the lines of moving through an interactive comic book as opposed to moving through a motion picture. Does that mean one is better than the other? Not necessarily, but the general idea is that it's a kind of a meta-narrative on our fascination and our love of these sorts of media. Again, I dig the graphics. The music is a little annoying just because it's so constant. I'm sure, but being a PS2 game, you can probably pot it down if it gets to be too much. I am also playing with headphones, so having it constantly in my ears as I'm recording is a little bit of a grind. But is this a game they can make today? Absolutely. In fact, there were talks of, as early as 2012, doing a new version of it called The Wonderful 101. And it would have reunited Kamiya and Inaba on a title for the first time since they did the Viewtiful Joe series. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it panned out, but, you know, that Viewtiful Joe and Viewtiful Joe 2 are still considered really good all-around action platforming games at a time where action fighting platforming games weren't necessarily the norm. It's, you know, this is a game that I can very easily see myself going back and playing more of, which to me is always the mark of a good game. If I do a test run on it and then I do a recording of it and I figure that's about it, then I probably won't even go near it again. I'll usually just wipe it off my system and call it a day. But for being something that is this original and doesn't take itself too seriously from what I have gotten in the hour or so that I've played it, I find that refreshing. You know, sometimes the best comedy and the most amusing parts of anything is when it doesn't take itself too seriously and doesn't try too hard. Joe is a movie junkie. He loves these sorts of films, and now that he's in it, of course he's going to go absolutely overboard and live it up as much as he can. Does that mean everybody's going to like it? No. But for me, yeah, I mean, it's one that if you've never tried it, and especially now that the only way you can play it is on an emulator, if you're looking for something new and a little bit different, and you're pining for a PS2 era type title, if you've never played Viewtiful Joe, give it a try. And if you have played it and was able to beat it, give me your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. But that, everybody, again, is Viewtiful Joe from 2003, and that is Suckerpunch Sunday for this week. It's amazing we're 87 episodes in. We're closing in on 100 for both this and Sports Saturday before we know it. We're going to have that done probably by the end of summer, the rate we're going. So, do hope you've been enjoying the content to this point. You know how to show it if you have been. Be sure to, again, tune into Sports Saturday next week, where we'll be carrying on with our Season 2 of Sega Sports NFL 2K2. We're getting close to the playoffs. We've only got a couple of regular season games left in our quest to establish the New England Patriots dynasty of the early 2000s without the existence of Tom Brady. And then once we're done with this season, we are going to put that game on ice for a bit. Wait for the regular NFL season to come back around later on in the year, and we'll bring back our usual foray into various consoles and various sports games. Also, be sure to check out our final week, and I did say that yesterday, and I do stand by it. One way or another, we are wrapping up Super Robot Wars this week. We've only got 3 missions to go. I've already recorded a couple of them, and we've just got to get them up and on the channel as soon as we can, and that's going to start on Monday. We will take a couple of weeks off from doing another playthrough to get our one-day playthroughs and WTF Wednesday back up, because those have languished on the shelf for quite a while. We didn't expect this playthrough to go this long, if I'm honest with you. But we want to get a couple more of those in the can before we dive into our next playthrough, which, as I've said before, we have already picked the title out. It will be one we will be putting together probably sometime in May, I would suspect, probably as we get close to Memorial Day weekend. Follow us on social media through Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Ronin's Retrocade. Help spread the word about us as we continue to build this channel and make it bigger and better. I've yapped enough for one weekend. My name is Ronin. It's been great to spend this Sucker Punch Sunday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming. We'll talk to you tomorrow as we get into the final couple of days for Super Robot Wars Alpha Guide. Bye.